welcome to KTN Home. This is What's Your Story. My name is Catherine Mwangi. We're here at Mombasa County still at the Pride in Paradise Beach Resort and Spa. Today we have an incredible guest on the program, first time ever on our show. He's the Honorable Suleiman Shahbal. He's an investment banker, a career investment banker spanning 2 decades plus. He is a humanitarian. He is a philanthropist, an economist, and guess what? He has invested, responsible for the investment of over $1 billion shillings in multiple projects, $1 billion actually, not shillings, multiple projects globally, not just here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Catherine.
Who invests $1 billion globally and still looks this young? I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you.
It's phenomenal.
It's over a number of years. It's not like it was done overnight.
But still, it is something, it's a humongous accolade.
Thank you.
The only person I have met like that, but not still at your level, is the late Chris Kirubi. And of course, the differences are there. But it's such an honor to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Chris Kirubi was a friend of mine.
Yes?
He was a good man, an interesting man.
Yeah. Oh, nice. You all flow in the same circle. The billion people flow in the same... That circle has only billionaires. No, but it's good to have you. So what's good in Mombasa? What's happening here in your county?
Many good things.
Okay.
Mombasa is in my view, it's an untapped jewel. There's a lot of opportunity in Mombasa. Mombasa needs a few fixes.
Okay.
A few changes.
Right.
And this city will start blooming again.
Ah.
My vision of Mombasa is the beautiful city that it once was. And you know, today people talk of Mombasa Raha. But there's no Raha in Mombasa today because, you know, the economic situation is difficult. We want to bring it back to the good old days when people from all over Kenya were flowing to Mombasa to look for jobs and opportunities.
Yes.
That has to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll come to that a little later on, and we get to hear what your vision is. But let's start with you. Like, why the interest in finance and economics? Like, where did that stem from?
I looked for a job. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm your typical Mombasa man. I grew up here. I went to madrasa like everybody else.
Right.
I got beaten up in madrasa by the mwalimu,
Okay.
which all of us had to go through.
Okay. I
grew up in an area called Majengo Chura. And Majengo Chura is right opposite Coast General. My family still lives there. That's home for me until today. That's my roots.
Wow.
I went to a school called Kikowani Primary School, which is still there. I played in the streets of Mombasa like everybody. This is home. This is where I grew up.
So you had a normal life growing up?
Absolutely.
Wow.
My parents were teachers. Both my father and my father were teachers. And they moved around.
Right.
You know. They taught in Mombasa, they taught in Lamu, they taught in Nairobi. So wherever they moved, we moved with them. So in a way, I had a normal childhood like everybody else.
Right.
Nothing spectacular, nothing different.
And being a child of 2 teachers,
Yes.
there's a particular way you had to be, because teachers are very strict. They want you to speak perfect Swahili, perfect English. They want you to be knowledgeable. Were your parents like that?
I think the biggest influence that I have from my parents is the love for reading. I grew up in a household which was always full of books. And particularly when my parents were posted to Nairobi, every Saturday, without fail, I was taken to Macmillan Library in the morning, my sister and I, and left there at 8 o'clock, and they came back for us at 1. Continuous reading.
Right.
I think that's the biggest influence that my parents left on me. Plus, of course, the values that they have. My parents are deeply religious people. And to them, there is no gray line. It's either good or bad.
Right.
Okay, there's no in between. It's either halal or haram. Hakuna in between.
No.
So those moral values have stayed with me until today.
Nice.
Okay. But then also, the other biggest influence that I have is from my grandparents. My grandfather was a businessman. And he's a businessman who came from very humble background. He started as a cook in a small restaurant in Old Town called Recorder, which is still existing until today.
Today?
Until today.
Wow.
Yes, and I should take you there. The food's pretty good.
Oh, okay. I'll hold you to it.
I will go.
I love food.
And then he opened a bicycle repair shop. Then he bought a taxi, and then a second taxi, and then went into the scrapyard business. So my memories of my grandfather is this guy who used to sell scrap. My grandmother was a small, tiny woman, but very tough, very energetic. She was like the mother of the whole mtaa.
Okay.
My grandmother sold charcoal, makaa, and I used to help her with that business. So I come from literally two different influences. There's the influence of my teachers of my parents who are teachers.
Yes.
And my grandparents who are business people.
Huh.
So somehow I walked along these two paths.
Those two paths.
And every holiday I was sent back to my grandparents. And I grew up in that environment.
So it is no wonder then that you have taken up the steps of your grandfather. The way he was an entrepreneur, that's what you are. Starting business after business, and the businesses that have longevity. How is it possible his restaurant is still operating today?
It's not his restaurant.
Okay.
He was working as a cook.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, in that restaurant.
He never owned a restaurant.
Okay, so he's...
Maybe I should go and buy that restaurant now. I'm thinking it might be a good...
See? Look, I think you should, if they're willing to sell it to you. Okay, so your career as an investment banker, and you've worked all over the world. And the good thing with your story is what you did out there, you've brought it back home. So you didn't just develop economies in other countries, but you came back home and you're building home. But let's talk about being out there and those opportunities out there. What happened after high school?
I was lucky. You know, after high school, immediately after high school, when we finished Form 6, I got admission to Nairobi University to study law.
Oh.
And I also got a scholarship to go and study business in the US. So I had a choice. Do I go to the US or do I go to Nairobi University? It was not a very difficult decision at 17. I took off for the US.
Yes.
Okay? And I went and studied business. But until today, you know, I keep on thinking that had I gone to Nairobi University, what would have happened to me? One thing is for sure, 1982 I would have been jailed with all the other people, because I've always been in student politics. And I've always, at that age, everybody's radical. So 100% certain, 1982, I would have been inside, including, you know, with all my other friends, Musalia Mudavadi, we went to school together.
Okay.
And all those other guys who were put in, and probably I would have ended up as a lawyer in Kenya.
Right.
Which may not have been a bad position considering how much money these guys are making. But I went to the US and I studied business. Initially, I wanted to do marketing, and then I found it too easy.
Okay. Wow.
So I started doing finance. I majored in finance. When I graduated, I came back home and spent 1 year looking for a job. And I couldn't get a job.
You were overqualified?
No, I wasn't overqualified. I was this young guy with a nice degree from the US. And I applied to 30, 40 companies here. Nobody saw it fit to hire me. So what I then did is I looked for money to go to Dubai. Okay, I looked for a ticket and flew to Dubai.
Right.
Spent a whole month looking for jobs. Went for a bunch of interviews.
Right.
And on my last day, I got a job in a bank.
The day your visa was expiring?
The day my visa was expiring. In fact, I was even wondering, do I really, because it cost me 15 dirhams to go for the interview, and I was wondering, this last 15 dirhams, do I invest in this taxi ride or do I keep it? I said, let me try my luck. And that's the job that I got.
My God.
Okay. And you know, you keep calling me an investment banker, but I didn't start as an investment banker. I started in treasury, and I was trading currencies and trading treasury bonds and basically that gave me a huge exposure to financial markets. Then I joined Citibank. And started as a very junior guy in Citibank, and then rose up slowly through the ranks.
Yeah.
Until one day, I find myself in Citibank headquarters in New York. And I'm sitting on a table, and the chairman of Citicorp is sitting here. 4 Americans here, 2 South Americans, 1 Indian, and 2 Europeans. And here I was sitting right here. And I'm looking at myself and saying, I am at the center of world finance at the highest level. This guy, that's me.
Yes.
From Kenya, from Mombasa, from Majengochura, I'm actually sitting here. That's a tribute to God's glory.
Amen.
It can take you from here to here.
My God.
And alhamdulillah, I had reached as high as I could possibly reach.
Yes. Whew.
And you know, in the banking world, once you reach the top, they really take care of you, you know. You find yourself flying first class, staying in the best hotels, everything. I mean, really, even the furniture in your house, they change it every 3 years.
What?
Yes.
Eh.
And then when I reached the top, I decided, let me go home and invest whatever little I've made back home.
Was that a hard decision?
It wasn't. My wife thought I'd gone crazy because, you know, we moved from an unbelievably luxurious life to going into a completely risky life because I decided to come into business here.
Ooh.
So I came back to Kenya and started an oil company. In 4 years, I was completely bankrupt. Zero. Not just zero, I was actually below zero because I owed people so much money. So it's like, you know, I moved from here, went up, and then crashed down again. Completely zero.
Did you see the crash coming?
No. Whoever sees a crash coming.
Well, you are the money guy.
Nobody sees the crash coming. You know, and in business, very rarely does the crash come like that. It's just a gradual erosion of business, you know. And I'm seeing it now with all these challenges being brought by Corona. I can see a lot of businesses are slowly, profitability declining, and then going into loss, and then suddenly reaching a point where the dream just dies, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a businessman. I have built businesses, and I've seen businesses succeed, and I've also seen my own businesses fail.
Right.
And watching a business fail is a very painful experience, particularly when I see small businesses in Kenya collapsing. It is so painful because I know that that man and his wife probably took their entire life savings and started this small business, whatever the business may be. And they have invested not just their money, but their savings, their energy, and their hopes.
Yes.
Because everybody starts a business and hopes that this thing will grow and become something that I will leave to my children, and I will do this. It's the death of the dream that is more painful than the loss of money.
Yeah. Let's speak to the point at which you decided to come back home. Before we come to how your business crashed and you found your way back up again. It says to me that you are willing to take risks and you're willing to sacrifice, even if it's good, to do something that you're not sure about. It speaks to that character trait about you.
Yes. Nobody can be a businessman if you're not a risk taker. business is risk. If you want a comfortable life, go find yourself a nice job. Okay, then you know the salary is coming every month. And you also know that if that salary stops coming, you go to another job, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay, some people are not meant to be business people, which is perfectly fine. And there's nothing wrong with being a career person. But if you decide to become a business person, business is taking risk. In my earlier days, I took reckless risks, dangerous risks. But as you become more experienced and more mature, you start to learn how to manage risk fast. And that is the difference between successful business people and unsuccessful business people. Successful people take calculated risks.
Yes.
You know what risk you're taking. You ask yourself, can I afford this loss if it goes bust? And it's taught me a lot of things. Today, my sons are coming into business, and I tell them, I have 5 parameters, 5,
Okay.
that are very important before I decide whether I'm doing a business or not.
Okay.
Number 1, is it legal? Is it ethical? If that business is illegal, it stops right there. If it's unethical, it also stops right there. And I'll give you an example. I was offered a betting license. And this is a multi-billion-dollar business in Kenya. I immediately declined. And the guy who offered me told me, are you crazy? Do you know how much money there is? I said, I know exactly how much money there is in this. But to me, this is haram. I'm not doing it. That's number 1. Number 2, what's the risk? How much am I going to risk in this business? And can I afford to lose 100%? If I cannot afford, it stops there. Number 3 is management. Who's going to manage this business? All businesses fail because of management. Number 4, how much growth potential is there in this? You're looking a bit surprised.
I'm learning.
How much growth potential is there in this? If this business can grow, then I'm interested. And then the last parameter, how profitable is this business? But this is, you know, today when I'm talking about these things, it sounds so wise. It's lessons learned a very hard way. Okay, it's lessons learned a very hard way.
So you've gotten burnt a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. I've been burnt many times.
Oh, many times?
Many times.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you pick yourself up and start healing those wounds?
It's actually, it goes back to my parents. Okay, I told you, my parents have a very strong religious influence on me. And the moral of the story has always been, if you believe in God, if you truly believe in God, whatever happens is for the good. And at my darkest moment, my mother sent me a quotation from the Quran. And the quotation from the Quran says, whoever depends on God, God will open the doors for him and will bless him beyond his wildest expectations.
That's amazing.
So when that came, at that point, I realized that everything happens for a reason. And when I look back at my life, there are jobs that I applied for that I desperately wanted to get. And you go through the interview process and you give it 100%, 110%.
Yeah.
And then it fails. But if you have faith, then you know there's a reason why God has done this for me. And 6 months later, another opportunity opens up, and you realize, had this succeeded, I would not have got this. That, my friend, is faith. Yes.
You're ministering this morning. You're ministering this morning. But we're going to take a very short break. When we come back, there's a story I want you to share with the audiences. One of the many you've told me already so far. And I'll let you know which one. But that will happen right after the break. There's still so much more to know about Honorable Suleiman Shahbal. So don't go too far. What's your story? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned to What's Your Story. My name is Catherine Mwangi, still at Mombasa County, having an incredible conversation with the Honorable Suleiman Shahbal. And we have established his journey up until this point, incredibly inspiring for me. Now, Mheshimiwa, you told me a story about your mom. You were working in Dubai.
Okay.
I want you to share that story.
I think you've ambushed me there, Catherine.
Oh, really?
Yes,
you feel
yes.
that?
Okay, no.
It's the lesson. It's
okay.
the lesson.
I was driving into my house at night. And I was driving this nice Mercedes. And I drove into my driveway. And my mother, my wife, my kids, and my brother-in-law were sitting there. My brother-in-law is from Mombasa. Then he comes to me and tells, "Lo, Suleiman, Mungu amekupiga torch," which is a Swahili expression saying that God has shone his light on you, has blessed you. And I was tired and a little irritated, and I told him, "Wachana yo maneno. God's torch is always on, and you have to chase the torch. This is hard work." And I walked inside. I've hardly put my briefcase down. And my mother walks into the room, closes the door behind her, and says, "That is the most arrogant thing I've ever had. Only God has the right to be arrogant." And I said, "Mama, it's right. You know, this is hard work." And she says to me, "There are people 10 times smarter than you, 10 times more hardworking than you, who struggle all their lives and don't have 5% of what you have. Whatever you have is God's blessing. Never forget that. Don't think it's because you're smart. Don't think because you're hardworking." And of course, I was a little irritated by that. But as soon as she left, the truth comes to you, and it's true. It brings you down to earth. It makes you realize that whatever you have is because of God's blessing on you.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this because I want to be philosophical about it. It's the truth. There are people who are more hardworking than you, who are smarter than you, who don't have 10% of what you have. So whatever you have, you know, you should give thanks to God and appreciate that God has blessed you with that. It's a very humbling experience. Now, my mother has never allowed me to forget that, you know. And when you have people like that who bring you down to earth, it's always a good, humbling experience.
Yes, the value of having people who keep you grounded.
Who keep you grounded, it's very important. And then also, Catherine, I've been, you know, I look at my life and people look at me today and they see a successful person. But they don't realize that this successful person came from very humble background, okay? And I've struggled, and I've reached the top, and then went crashing down. And when I went crashing down, I got to the level that many people are in. I couldn't pay my school fees, I couldn't pay my rent, okay? I didn't have any money in my pocket. The people who respected you because you were vice president Citibank and you had all the flashy things in life, suddenly starts treating you with silent disrespect. Okay? Then you come to realize that all this is ephemeral. It comes, it goes.
Yeah.
And then when you start going up again, it never allows you to forget that whatever you have, you see, all this wealth can disappear overnight. And it's a very humbling experience, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say this because we're on TV. It's the truth. I've come to realize that whatever we have comes and goes.
Comes and goes.
What matters is the relationships that you have and the value that you leave behind and the contribution that you make
In society.
to your family, to your immediate neighborhood, and to our community we live in.
Yes. And speaking of these contributions that you make, the work that you have done for the people of this county is innumerable. And your heart and passion in education, in healthcare, in women matters, women affairs, just wanting to see those groups of people empowered. What drives you to that?
You're a Christian,
Yes.
so allow me to quote from the Bible.
Okay.
To those whom much is given, much is expected. Correct?
Yes.
So if we've been blessed, then we also have an obligation to give back. And alhamdulillah, the good Lord has blessed me. But those blessings also come with responsibilities. So now today, I look back at my life. I am where I am because of my education. That's why I want to contribute to education. And I'm making a lot of, and sometimes even these attempts to contribute are frustrated. I tried to set up a university, and I found every single roadblock that blocked me from doing that. I said, okay, I put it on ice. 9th of August, I'm starting it again.
Wow.
Okay. I set up a microfinance to help women, which was called Fursa Leo, which means opportunity today. And I invested 35 million shillings in that. Crashed. Politically again. When politics came, people told these clients, go and take the money, don't bother paying, this is a political gimmick. It wasn't. Okay? It was designed to help women because we were doing it interest-free. We were not charging women any interest. Okay? Crashed. But the one thing that I bless the good Lord for is I never give up and I'm very persistent. So that university is going to happen sooner or later,
Yes.
God willing. That microfinance, we're going to do it again.
Yes.
Okay. I never give up. And if you look back at my life, you know, we set up Gulf African Bank in 2008.
I was actually going there, so
Yes,
go
but
there.
the first time I applied for a license was in 1990. And I was chased out of State House. Then I went to see Franklin Bett a few years later. He was controller. And he told me, hey, unataka nifutwe kazi. 20 years later, we opened that bank.
You wanted to do it in 1990?
20 years later, we opened that bank. Okay? In 1996, when I came to Kenya, back to Kenya, I set up an oil company. And remember, the oil industry was liberalized in 1994. In 1996, I was the first Kenyan to set up an independent Kenyan oil company. In 4 years, the majors made sure that I went bust because I had the audacity to try and bring in my own tanker of fuel. 4 years, they destroyed me, okay? But look at it a few years later. Today, 65% of the oil sold in Kenya is sold through Kenyan companies. I sold my company, Gulf Energy, in December 13th, 2019. We were the 4th largest oil company in this country. I never give up.
From the 90s?
From the 90s. And you see, that is the persistence that I'm bringing even in my race for governor in Mombasa. It's because I'm determined. I'm absolutely determined. Whatever happens, we must change the city. The city is on a downward spiral. We have to bring it back again. And that determination is what drives me to continue in this. I look at our educational sector and I say, this cannot go on. Okay, we have to change this. I look at the people struggling. You know, I'm such a believer in education that I believe any student from Mombasa who qualifies to go to university, the city of Mombasa must pay for them to go to university. I've been saying this from 2012. I want to send from every constituency of Mombasa 20 students every single year. I want to send them abroad to Malaysia, to Singapore, to Turkey, to the UK, to the US. Let them go and study. Let them go and see how other people run their countries. And then they will come back and infuse new energy and new ideas into this county. Okay? I'm a product of having lived abroad. I've seen things out there, and I look at these things and say, why not us? Okay? And 2 days ago, I see Mandago sending students to Finland. And I want to applaud. I want these kids to go to Malaysia and see Malaysia, which is a world-class country, also Singapore, and then ask themselves, what happened to us that at independence we were ahead of these guys, and now we look like some poor cousins compared to these guys.
Yeah, what a vision.
We have to make it happen. See, the World Bank identified 3 key cities in Africa as the port cities with the most potential.
Okay.
Tangier in Morocco is number 1, Durban, South Africa is number 2, Mombasa as number 3. We have to make it happen.
Wow.
Yes.
What a vision.
It's an absolute imperative, and I firmly believe in this thing. And I know, you see, I know we can make it happen. I absolutely know.
It's possible.
It is possible. And God willing, August 2022, that journey starts.
Wow.
Sorry, I don't plan to hijack your interview and turn it political.
By all means.
But you know, these are the things that drive me.
And it's part of your story.
It is part of my story. And I talk about job creation, and I know it's possible, okay? I know we can do it. Right outside the port, you know, people are talking about Dongo Kundu. Then I come to find out the city of Mombasa owns 550 acres right outside the port. My friend, that is something that could have created 10,000 jobs, okay? And we will create those 10,000 jobs. I've done it. I know how to do it, okay? Sometimes I listen to these guys and they're talking, oh, we're hustlers, we're this way. These guys haven't built a kiosk in their lives. All right? They haven't built a kiosk in their lives. They haven't created a single job in their lives, other than the maids they have at home, and that's probably hired by the wife. Okay? So when you find people, when you have a vision of where you want to go, and you have the drive and the commitment to get there, and you have the experience to make it happen, only one person can stop you, the good Lord. Okay?
Yeah.
And God knows that what we're trying to do is not just to make money.
No.
It's to empower those guys down there. And the youth are ready. We have thousands of people from Mombasa with university degrees. We have hundreds of thousands of young guys who may not have university degrees, but are more than happy to start work tomorrow. We need to create these opportunities for them. By the way, Catherine, I noticed that yours is fruit and mine is kumi-kumi.
What is kumi-kumi?
A very dangerous contortion. I hope this is not one of those.
What is kumi-kumi? Can someone tell me what kumi-kumi? What is kumi-kumi?
Now, if she doesn't know what kumi-kumi is, it means you're a Barbie.
You are calling me a Barbie? I have not worked abroad as you have.
Catherine, I'm a guy from Majengo Chura. Don't forget that.
Okay.
Okay?
Fair enough.
And I've come back to Majengo Chura again.
Fair enough.
Okay.
And you're fighting for the people of Majengo Chura and more.
And more.
Got it. Fire in your belly. I see it even in your eyes as you speak. That is amazing. So, you have said how you want to transform and empower the people of this great county and the things that you want to do, especially in the areas of education. And, you know, you cannot do this by yourself, in the sense of when you come back to the family front. I love how you call your wife your boss. I see that on social media, and I absolutely love it. And especially the fact that it's not a part of your life that you've hidden.
Sasa Mufti Menk, asema, when I got married, I found myself with a father-in-law, and a mother-in-law, and a brother-in-law, and a sister-in-law. So who is the law? The wife. Sasa mimi, I'm accompanied by my wife, and if I don't ask her to say one or two things, the law will take place at home.
Elimu kutumiliwa ni kuwa utaweza uende mbele ili watu wengine wakufuate nyuma.
You know, the fact that you're with her almost everywhere, and you say, you know, this is my boss. So that's very funny to me. So how is it possible that how come she's your boss?
You know, my wife hates this thing. She hates the politics.
Okay.
And she's told me a number of times, she thinks I'm crazy. Okay. But when I sit down and explain to her why I want to do this, in fact, even before going into politics, I told her I want to go into politics, and she was absolutely dead set against it.
Wow.
And then I said, look, I won't do it if I don't have your support.
Oh, wow.
And she kept telling me, this is crazy, you're going to lose your privacy, why you want to do this, now you can enjoy your life. And I explained to her why I want to do this. Then one day she turns around and says, I think you should do it. And I asked her why, after refusing for so long. And she says, I don't want to be in a situation when you are in your 70s and you have regrets that why didn't we do it when we could. She agreed to that. And then I told her, you need to get involved. And she says, no. Then she gave one speech to a bunch of women. And she came across so eloquently and so powerful. And when we came out of that speech, I said, it is irresponsible for you not to talk to the women. And I said, look, imagine if you're standing there and you're speaking to these girls, and the few words that you say to them inspire these girls to reach for greater heights. When I met her, she was a marketing manager of one of these Dubai companies, one of these government of Dubai companies in London. So she's a woman of substance in her own right, by her own drive. And I say, you owe it to these women and to these girls to inspire them with your story. And when she speaks, they listen. My only worry is if she decides to run for governor, she'll beat me.
It is, do you know, you've said that and I remembered, it is actually Barack and Michelle Obama's story.
Well, I think
really.
you're taking us too far.
No, no. Have you read her book?
I have.
Yeah, it's the story.
Yes.
He asked her, I'm not running unless you agree and you accept and you support, and she struggled with it. It's exactly that story.
Thank you for comparing me to Barack Obama. I hope my voters are listening to this.
No, really. It is, I'm like, oh my goodness, you have, the Obamas are here, we do not know that. And then now, it's similar to Michelle. She spoke once, and the husband said to her, you have to be involved. It's exactly that story. But for me, it's just that admiration of walking this journey together as one, and being proud of her, even as an individual, her accomplishments. For me, that surpasses everything. Because hizi vitu za siri mimi hazinifurahishangi, especially with people in the limelight. Like, show us who your people are. You can keep the kids private, but let's know who your wife is. So that's a beautiful thing for me.
Even my kids, there's nothing private. You know, my 12-year-old daughter, on vacation last semester, comes to me and tells me, I want to go and do a course on beekeeping, keeping bees. I say, oh, what for? She says, oh, this is very interesting. So she goes to attend this 6-day course. She's the only kid in a class of 40 grown-ups. And I'm amazed. And she comes back and she starts telling me about bees. And then she tells me, you know, the one beehive can generate 6,000 to 10,000 shillings. and you, Baba, are going to be the first client that I have. I said, you mean I pay for your cause, and I pay for your beehives, and you will still sell to me? She says, absolutely, yes. You know where the business...
She's taking after the daddy steps.
Correct.
Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
So I think once you decide
Yeah.
you want to take a public role, you need to give the people an example. Okay.
Yes.
Just because we come from a Muslim background doesn't mean that you hide our women behind. Look at Benazir Bhutto. I mean, she was a woman, she was a prime minister. Look at the Bangladeshi prime ministers. 3 of them have been women.
Yes.
Okay. Look
Yes.
at Amina Mohammed. She's a Muslim.
Yes.
She's still in the public limelight.
Yeah.
And I think it's time to change the stereotypes.
Yes, I love it.
So we encourage, you know, I want to see our girls be more assertive, more aggressive, more
Yeah.
educated,
Yes.
more into business. I want to see these women in the boardroom.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
Give me that story when you're in Form 1 and you were being intimidated by this person.
You know, I went to Nairobi School.
Yeah.
And Nairobi School was a national school. And it had an interesting mixture of students. Some came from very rich backgrounds. Some were ordinary wananchi. Now, when I went to school, my parents didn't buy me a blazer. And in Nairobi School, every time students left, they sold their blazers. So I bought one secondhand. It was a bit worn down. But I went and bought the badge, new badge, and put the new badge and the yellow stripes. And on Sunday, I put it on. Stood in line. And the prefect looks at me and says, Shahbal, come here. And I walk out. And I'm wondering, what have I done wrong? And this guy zeroes down on my blazer and starts asking me in a very loud voice, where did you buy that second-hand blazer? You know, and goes on to make fun of me. And I'm 14 years old, and I'm trying very hard to restrain myself from crying. But nkajikaza. And I answered his questions. Family, I bought it. Is there a problem? But clearly the intention was, here's this rich boy trying to show me that, you know, you come from a poor background, you can't even afford a blazer. Fine. 30 years later, the same prefect comes to me looking for a job. And I give him a job. The guy is working for me today. And I've never mentioned this story to him, that, do you remember 30 years ago you did this to me? No. Yesterday I was in Sheikh Khalifa school, and my PA gave me this photograph. And I raised the photograph. I said, see this? This is me in my second-hand blazer. Okay, I could not afford a blazer when I was in high school. I was too poor to afford this. But my friends, it is not where you come from that is important. It is where you are going. So whether your parents are struggling for fees, whether you come from the poorest neighborhood of Mombasa, whether you have whatever, never look back, look forward. And that's something I believe in. That's something that we should encourage all our youth to believe in. And I'm a living testament to that. My grandmother sold makaa. My grandmother sold charcoal. My parents struggled to pay my school fees. And alhamdulillah, you know, hard work, good education, determination, grit, and God's blessing. Nothing can stop you.
You're such an encourager, and you're not encouraging from a vacuum, you're encouraging from your life experience, which is actually what counts and what stands. So as we wind up, what is your message to the young people?
I'm a great believer in hope and faith. I'm a great believer that where you come from is not important. It's where you're going. And once you set your mind to something, if you are in high school, put a photograph of the university you want to go to in front of you. Keep it in front of you where you're studying and saying, I'm going there. Put a photograph of that big house that you want to own, and you will end up owning it. If you believe, if you truly believe, where you want to go, you will reach there. It's not important where you come from. It's important that you have faith, that you stay honest, that you work hard, that you build good relationships, and keep praying. And you will get where you want to get.
I love it.
We're going through difficult times. Everybody goes through difficult times. Kenya is going through difficult times. It doesn't mean that these times will stay forever. Work hard, stay focused, believe in God, and look to the future.
Do you ever get to unwind, and what do you do? I mean, your life is so packed.
You ask me these questions which are very moving to me.
Okay.
Okay. To unwind, I read.
Wow.
I read a lot. In fact, when I'm in the car going for a meeting, I read. When I'm in the line waiting for something, I read.
Yeah. You even posted a picture on Twitter the other day. I think you were 3 years old. Or was it 2 years old with books?
Yes. That was a photograph of me in a magazine. Okay, I think that was a studio photograph. So I was given a magazine to read. Okay, the only thing my daughters make fun of is the shoes I was wearing were girly shoes. You know.
Is it?
Yes, but I think reading is very empowering. You know, I like to spend time with friends, particularly friends who will come there and not discuss business or politics. We laugh about everything under the sun.
You've reminded me.
Yeah.
How do you distinguish the real ones from the fake ones?
Well, I think they're different friends, you see. They're business friends. Okay, people who are my friends because we're in business together. Okay, so we have common interests. They're friends who are with me because we're in politics. And then they're friends who we just sit and laugh together and have a good time. And I know these guys are with me not because I'm a politician or because I've got a bit of chapa or whatever. So you get to know very quickly, you know.
Okay.
But friends are friends.
Yeah,
so.
Friends are friends.
Yes.
So you've clustered them, like, and you've accepted.
That's a fact of life.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, so you like chilling with your boys and
with the boys. Yes. Yeah.
And just having a good time.
And you know, sometimes I mean, you just want to sit and laugh. You know,
True.
You don't want to sit there and discuss how we're going to turn the economy of Mombasa around. You know, or what we do with the drug problem. These are serious issues that require serious discussions with the right people at the right time in the right environment, you know. But that's not, you know, when we're sitting there, we want to discuss, you know, does Diamond's latest hit, how is it, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, does Tanasha Donna look better than the other Nandi? Or, you know, these are the things that, you know, sometimes, and then the guys get into a debate and I sit there and I'm just laughing and thinking, you know, this is a serious discussion, you know. So this is...
So pop culture stuff, things like that.
Very interesting stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very interesting.
What kind of music do you like?
All sorts.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, when you ask a question like that, it's like asking, what books do you like? You know? There are times when I want to read a serious book on politics. There are times I like to read a history book. There are times I like to read a love story. You know, and
it's versatile.
It depends on the mood. The same thing with the music. You know, there's a time to listen to Diamond. There's a time to listen to Nandi. There's a time to listen to Beyonce.
Okay.
Time to listen to Rihanna.
Oh, I'm waiting for you to come to Whitney Houston. You know, R&B.
AOP sometimes, you know, when the mood is right. You know, that requires a special mood and the right company. You know. Got it. Whitney Houston is, I mean, everybody's favorite, isn't she?
Of course,
yeah.
Of course. Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you really are a cool guy. I thought it's just fire and vision.
My wife is worried about my fascination with Beyonce and Rihanna.
Oh.
Yes. But I think we take that off camera. You know?
I see. Yeah. No, it makes you normal.
Of course I'm normal. What did you expect me to be?
It truly does make you normal. I'm happy to know there's a fascination there, but it makes you totally normal, which is really good. A man is a multifaceted being, and I've seen that with you and your story. And you told me your mom is still alive.
Yes, my mom's 83. She still reads. She still exercises every day.
Wow.
She's extremely opinionated. Okay, she's a great scholar in the Quran. So every day I get a lecture from her on
something.
On how best to improve. She's an inspiration.
And she keeps you grounded.
And she keeps me grounded.
The best person to do it.
And she wanted to campaign, and I said, Mama, please, at 83, it's better you just stay in the background.
Yeah.
No, but if she was here, she would be, you know, itching to go out on campaign and, Mama, please. You know, campaign is rough.
Yes.
So we have to give her security and all that.
Yeah.
It's better you just stay in the background and be an advisor.
I like that. I like that role for Mama. Yeah. Best place. Yeah. Well, Honorable Shahbal, man, this has been really good. Suleiman Shahbal.
Not honorable, just Suleiman.
Well, you just receive it.
Thank you.
And we better start getting used to it anyway. You just receive the honorable and receive it, yes?
Thank you.
But thank you so much for gracing our program today.
My pleasure.
I mean, you have just downloaded such fire and such wisdom. It's been amazing.
Thank you.
Even for me at a personal level. Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah? And to you watching, thank you so much for making the time to watch us today. It's been amazing. Let us have your feedback. By the way, how can people reach you? You have a website, right?
We have a website. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook.
Right.
We're on Instagram.
At Suleiman Shahbal.
Yes. And then, of course, we are also on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And my phone never stops ringing, so I'm available anytime.
You're available?
If you really want to reach me, you'll know how to reach me. Yes.
From us here on KTN Home, the show goes right up on YouTube now, and a repeat on Wednesday morning. Have yourselves a great week.
Pride Inn Spa and Resort has Bamboo Ocean Spa, an oasis of rest and relaxation. The spa is a sanctuary of rejuvenation and relaxation for your mind and body. Nourish, transform, and glow with our wide range of that which will definitely make you come back for another pamper session. Visit our website, prideinn.co.ke for more information.